Xbox is forcing this major change. Here's Xbox's next big move after the developer direct. And is this beloved classic finally making its way over to Xbox this month? Let's discuss. What's up guys, and welcome back to another edition of Xbox Ready. First up, let's talk about the developer direct. This is a showcase that's going to take place later this month where Xbox is going to show off a number of games. It's going to be a smaller event, not the huge E3 style blowouts that we've grown accustomed to, but a smaller event focused on Forza Motorsport, Minecraft Legends, Redfall, and Elder Scrolls Online. So yeah, it's official. January 25th, developer direct, it's going down. When it comes to Forza Motorsport, we're apparently going to be seeing some new details and gameplay. Minecraft Legends, it seems that they're going to be focusing on the PvP aspect of that game. Now, I don't play a ton of Minecraft. I didn't play Minecraft Dungeons, but apparently Minecraft Legends is multiplayer, so focusing on that PvP aspect makes a lot of sense. Probably the most important part about this developer direct is Redfall and what they're going to show off, and apparently they're just going to do a deep dive into everything: the single player aspect, multiplayer, bosses, customization, combat, and I'm sure we'll learn a lot more about Redfall as a place, as an open world. Hopefully we'll get the release date. I don't know, man, we'll see. Not too long ago, Windows Central came out and said they're targeting an early May release date, maybe early access being available as soon as April. Motorsport and Minecraft Legends are still expected to release this spring, so hopefully we get hard release dates on those games too. Having those games come out in the early spring and then Redfall coming out in May, that would take Xbox from having like a pretty good first half of 2023 to like a great, fantastic first half of 2023. We already got a ton of additions coming to Game Pass this January: Persona 3, Persona 5, Monster Hunter Rise. Atomic Heart is coming next month, Wo Long Fallen Dynasty, and then we have Motorsport, and then we have Minecraft Legends, and then we have Redfall. Maybe somewhere in that time frame too, we also have the new Hollow Knight game, Silksong. The possibilities are endless. Very exciting if you're an Xbox fan. And also, for those of you who are still rocking with Elder Scrolls Online, they're going to be making a presentation on their next chapter, their next DLC coming to the game. Now, it just warms my heart that they're still working on this game. I was one of the last few beta testers way back for this game in like 2013-ish. And guys, over the years, I have played a lot of Elder Scrolls Online. Recently, I've kind of fell off. At the end of the day, there's still a special place in my heart for that game. When it first came out, it got a lot of hate because people were like, what the frick? This isn't Skyrim Online. This is nothing like Skyrim. But I've had a ton of fun. They've really turned it around, this game, with all these content updates. I know that's a story that we hear a lot. The game launches and it's kind of like, it doesn't really have a lot to offer, but as the years go on, it grows into something that is really, really cool. We also know how long this developer direct is supposed to be. It's supposed to have a runtime of 43 minutes. And yeah, when it comes to Xbox events, that is a little bit shorter, but I feel like that's a pretty good runtime. All right, so 43 minutes. So that leaves like 10 minutes per game, and then maybe a couple of minutes to make some announcements at the end, maybe regarding some other games, maybe some Game Pass announcements for February, since this event is taking place at the end of January. I don't know if Elder Scrolls Online is going to need a full 10 minutes to show off their next expansion, their next chapter. So maybe some other games will have a longer segment. I'm sure Redfall could benefit greatly from that. Maybe Redfall takes up like 15, 17 minutes of the show, while the other games have a shorter time frame. I feel like Redfall is the most important part of the showcase. They probably could have done a whole entire developer direct just solely for Redfall. This video is sponsored by HelloFresh. If you're looking for a way to eat healthier and save some money, then HelloFresh is perfect for you. Now, I gotta come clean, guys. I'm not the best cook. I'm not the best at cooking meals for myself. My lack of skills essentially forced me to order out and eat out all the time. You can leave behind expensive takeout and delivery and get started on HelloFresh. You'll love how fast, easy, and affordable it is to cook up some good, decent home meals right in your own kitchen. If you don't have a lot of time to spend in the kitchen, maybe you're making a YouTube video, maybe you're playing The Witcher 3 for the millionth time, they also have fast and fresh recipes. These meals can be prepared in as little as 15 minutes. Meals like their falafel power bowls, their seared steak and potatoes with Burmese sauce, or their Southwest pork and bean burritos. Not only are you going to be eating better with HelloFresh, but you're also going to be saving a little bit of money too. HelloFresh will save you a ton of money compared to going to the grocery store, and it's 25% cheaper than takeout. I'm so excited that HelloFresh has chosen to sponsor this video because in between HelloFresh and their sister service EveryPlate, I've ordered over 40 boxes from them. I've been cooking more, I've been eating better, less fast food, less takeout, and me and my wife have a ton of fun making these meals together. I also hardly ever have any leftovers from these meals, so I never have to feel guilty about food waste. It's like the perfect portion. If you're ready to get cooking, go on down to HelloFresh.com and use the code XboxReady21 at checkout to get 21 free meals plus free shipping. Thanks again to HelloFresh for sponsoring this video. This is the first Bethesda Xbox exclusive since that acquisition, so I feel like there's a lot riding on this. I am super optimistic though. I'm super pumped for January 25th. Like I said, it's going down at 12 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, and it's going to be streamed on the Xbox official YouTube and Twitch channels. Speaking of Xbox events, we might have an idea of what the next Developer Direct is going to be about. Now, one of the big stories floating around Developer Direct was the omission of Starfield, and people were like, whoa, what's going on? Starfield isn't going to be a part of this. We want an update on Starfield. What's the deal? And I came on and I was like, well, maybe at the Developer Direct, they'll announce, okay, we're going to do a whole new show centered just around Starfield. And of course, as soon as that video goes up, Xbox tweets out, that's exactly what we're going to do. So am I a fortune teller or am I behind on things? I don't know. Maybe it's a little bit of both. In the same blog post on the Xbox Wire where they announced the Developer Direct, they also said they're going to dedicate a whole event to Starfield, that they didn't want to shoehorn it in to the Developer Direct because it's such a big, ambitious title. They said, and I quote, to dedicate the proper amount of time for a deep dive into Bethesda Game Studios' Starfield, a standalone show is in the works. And that's exactly what me and a ton of other fans want to hear. Starfield is like the big marquee game for Xbox up until this point. And that's the one that everyone has been talking about. It's the first Bethesda RPG since Fallout 4, which at this point was a long ass time ago. It's their first new IP since like forever. So yeah, a standalone event, that makes sense, and I'm super here for it. I'm excited for it. Now, from the info that we have, this game is still expected to release in the first half of 2023. I'm not so convinced about it, and depending on when the standalone Starfield event is going to take place, I feel like that's going to tell us a lot about when the actual release window is. Personally, if they're able to release Minecraft Legends, Motorsport, and Redfall in these next few months, I feel like they can afford to chill a little bit and kind of push the release window for Starfield a little bit further. There's just a lot going on if you factor in all those games and all those Game Pass editions, and you want this game, considering that it's so massive, you want people to spend a lot of time with it, you want to give it room to breathe. But they definitely got to release it in that window where there's still time for it to be considered for Game of the Year. Xbox needs like a Game of the Year contender. It's been too long since they've had a nominee. I can't even remember off the top of the head when that happened. And Starfield could be a good candidate for Game of the Year, at least a nomination. I know those are big words considering that we don't really know too much about Starfield, and what we saw has been like, you know, okay, it looks pretty cool, but not like, oh my god, I'm like pooping my pants over how amazing this is. So I wouldn't mind if they pushed back Starfield's release date to like September, October, maybe early November, maybe even just wait until November 11th, which was when it's supposed to come out last year. It's when Skyrim came out like way long ago, back in 2011. So a standalone Starfield event, it's coming. I'm super excited for it. I want more Xbox events, man. They're super cool and they gave me something to talk about on the channel. Overall, great stuff. Next up, let's talk about your Xbox's power settings. Now, for those of you who are not aware, your Xbox has two different power modes, standby and shutdown mode. Standby mode used to be instant on, and then shutdown mode used to be sleep mode. Standby mode means essentially that your Xbox is never truly off. It's just kind of like sleeping. It's kind of just taking a quick nap, but it's still technically on. It still has the ability to update itself and update any games that you might have. It makes the boot up time pretty much nothing since it's already on. You just press the button or your controller and just instantly it's like, oh, I'm awake now. But it does take up a lot of power compared to shutdown mode, where it's truly your Xbox is pretty much off. And now last year, I'd say in the middle of 2022, there was a lot of hubbub going around where people were publishing just how much power that your Xbox was using in instant on or standby mode. They rolled out a couple of updates where they were like, okay, we're gonna change the name from instant on to standby mode, and then from sleep mode to shutdown mode, and we're also gonna make it to where you can see your Xbox's power usage when it comes to the different modes. We'll have like a helpful little graph that tells you how much wattage it uses. And now that's all culminated into this update that they're testing with Xbox insiders right now, where they're just gonna switch your Xbox to shutdown mode, whether you have it with instant on mode, standby mode, they're just gonna move it on over and make that the default setting. Once they make that change, apparently if you want to change back to standby or instant on mode, you have the ability to do so. If you want to have standby mode on sometimes, but not all the times, they're also apparently going to be implementing a change where you can put it on a timer. And for those of you who use a lot of the Xbox remote features like myself, those features will still be available in shutdown mode as long as the console is on. Now, for a while, I was under the impression that you had to have instant on or standby mode enabled in order to access those remote features. But now they're saying, no, you don't need that. You can access the same features as long as your console is on, even if it is in shutdown mode. I feel like that only applies to like using other devices to wake up your Xbox. Like if you use your Google Home to like use vocal commands, or if you use the Xbox app in order to turn it on. Microsoft also says that Xbox is the first carbon-aware console, a very smart console, probably the smartest console out there. In that blog post I was just referring to, they detail that now your Xbox has the ability, like many Windows 11 devices, to download updates when it's the optimal time according to your power grid. Usually that occurs at night, apparently, because that's like the optimal time to download something, because power at night usually comes from more sustainable sources, apparently, according to this blog post. So yeah, very exciting things. Xbox insiders right now, y'all have the ability to save some power, save some money, save some trees. And like I mentioned earlier, that update will soon roll out to all Xbox consoles, so we can all do that stuff. Next up, let's talk about GoldenEye. Y'all know GoldenEye. I feel like everyone who has ever played video games ever has had some sort of experience with 007 GoldenEye. It's probably a lot of our first experiences with a FPS game. Now, back in 22, there was a rumor floating around that GoldenEye was finally going to be making its way over to Xbox consoles. And it was going to have a new like makeover, like a 4K upgrade, a frame rate boost. Surprisingly, the last time we heard about it, online multiplayer was not going to be included in the Xbox version. But still, people were really excited about it. It's been long overdue. Xbox obviously owns Rare Studios now, which were the people behind those original games. But Nintendo still owns the rights for the actual game title, so there was like some legal, like convoluted stuff going on. But according to Ecstasis, who is an Xbox YouTuber, a self-proclaimed fake Xbox insider, the game could be making its way over to Game Pass later this month. Now, this is just a rumor, so take it with a grain of salt, but that would take January from being like a great month, having like Persona 3, Persona 4, Monster Hunter Rise, and then you throw in GoldenEye into the mix of that, that is like... chef's kiss, baby. That would be an amazing month for Game Pass. And with Developer Direct coming up at the end of this month, it could be the perfect time to announce something or hint at something. I don't know. I assume at the end of Developer Direct, after they finish showing off all the games, that they're going to have a couple of announcements, whether it's Game Pass announcements, whether it's something else. So obviously that would be the perfect time to announce something like GoldenEye coming to Game Pass, or even just Xbox consoles.